Does blindness really strengthen other senses? In many cultures and stories, there's a fascinating idea that losing one sense, like sight, enhances the other senses. One of the most iconic representations of this concept is Marvel's Daredevil. The character, Matt Murdock, loses his sight as a child but develops his other senses to extraordinary levels, allowing him to perceive the world in ways most people can't. But is there any truth to this idea? Can losing your sight really make your hearing, touch, smell, or even taste sharper? The science behind enhanced senses. Science shows us that the brain has an incredible ability to adapt, a phenomenon known as neuroplasticity. When a person is born blind or loses their vision, the brain rewires itself to compensate for the lack of visual input. The parts of the brain that would normally process sight start to get taken over by other senses. This doesn't necessarily mean that the senses become superhuman, like Daredevil, but it does mean that people who are blind can often perceive more detail through their other senses than sighted individuals. For example, studies have shown that people who are blind can develop enhanced auditory spatial awareness, meaning they can better judge where sounds are coming from and their distance. Their sense of touch also becomes more sensitive, allowing them to read Braille or detect subtle textures and vibrations. Smell and taste might also become more attuned to subtle changes in their environment. This heightened sensitivity is a natural adaptation, where the brain maximizes the use of the remaining senses to compensate for the loss of vision. Daredevil's abilities, fact or fiction. In Daredevil, Matt Murdock's blindness leads to his senses becoming so powerful that he can almost see through sound, touch, and even smell. While this makes for an exciting superhero narrative, the reality isn't quite as dramatic. No amount of sensory enhancement can fully replace the function of sight. However, the idea of heightened senses is not completely fictional. Some blind individuals have developed echolocation abilities similar to bats, by making clicking sounds with their tongues and listening to how the sound bounces off objects around them. This ability allows them to navigate through space with surprising accuracy. While Matt Murdock's supernatural abilities might not be realistic, the principle behind his heightened senses is based on real science. The human brain is remarkably adaptable and will strengthen its remaining senses when one is lost. But it's important to remember that this process doesn't happen overnight. It requires years of practice, training, and adaptation, which is another aspect that Daredevil gets right. Matt didn't just wake up with heightened senses. He trained intensely for years to refine them. The role of training and experience. In both real life and fiction, training and experience play a key role in developing enhanced senses. For example, blind individuals who have been navigating the world without sight for many years often have more developed auditory or tactile abilities than those who recently lost their vision. Just like in Daredevil, Matt's years of training as a fighter and lawyer helped him hone his abilities to the extreme. Similarly, in reality, some blind individuals learn techniques such as echolocation, enhance auditory skills, or become experts in tactile sensitivity. While most people who lose their sight don't become superheroes, many do become experts at using their other senses in ways that most sighted people can't even imagine. This is because they are forced to rely on those senses to navigate the world, and over time, their brains become better at processing and interpreting non-visual information. Conclusion: a mix of fact and fiction. The idea that blindness enhances other senses is rooted in both science and fiction. Neuroplasticity allows the brain to adapt and strengthen remaining senses when one is lost. But this doesn't lead to superpowers like we see in Daredevil. The truth is that blind individuals can develop heightened abilities through years of practice, training, and adaptation, but there's no magical transformation. The enhanced abilities come from hard work and experience. In the end, while Daredevil gives us a fascinating and exciting glimpse into the potential of the human senses, it's important to recognize the real-world struggles and triumphs of those living without sight. Their stories may not involve fighting crime, but they are powerful examples of human resilience and adaptability. Please like, subscribe, and drop a comment below. I hope you enjoyed it.